Welcome to this episode of Bias Hacking for Conversation Designers, the Vocaline series exploring how different kinds of cognitive biases interact with the work of conversation designers and offering insights on how to mitigate them. Today, we'll be delving into so-called loss aversion. Starting from, what is loss aversion? According to the Decision Lab's definition, loss aversion is a cognitive bias that describes why, for individuals, the pain of losing is psychologically twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining. Basically, the loss felt from money or any other valuable object can feel worse than gaining the same thing. So we tend to feel better about not losing $20 than we would finding $20. But how does this actually affect conversation design? Let's bias hack this. Of course, a disclaimer is always due that we are not claiming to cure the incurable or fix the unfixable. Bias are part of us and will always be. What we're proposing here is more like a thought experiment than a method to get rid of bias forever. Still, here are some ways that we can become aware of and deal with being loss-adverse designers. The first technique is to think worst-case scenario. So ask yourself what the worst outcome would be if the course action you're envisioning was taken. Usually this can help to put loss and the strong feelings associated with loss into perspective, and it also helps better rationalize if it's worth making a decision or not. Related to this is the fact that we need to learn to let go of things you've invested time, effort, and money in. Try to not think of them as hours and effort lost, and think of them rather as insights gained, or at least in terms of other hours and effort that you're not wasting by dropping a task that would probably not turn out to be useful anyways. Finally, don't be afraid of trying something new. Staying with a tried and tested method, platform, or process can all be great, but don't stay away from new ways of doing things just out of fear of losing time or risk looking stupid the first time you try it. Especially because, spoiler alert, the first time we all look stupid. As designers, we should also be aware of the ways loss aversion can impact on our users. In this context, we should be aware that framing really matters. So when you're asking your user to make a decision that could be influenced by loss aversion, try framing the question differently to highlight the benefits that each option offers. On the other hand, you should also be aware of what your marketing team might be asking you to offer your users. So sure, it's great that they want to give out free trials or rebates, but you should know that these are techniques to lock your users in, as scaling back, for example, from software trials is often a really emotionally challenging decision. Not that you might always be able to do something about this, but at least be aware. Lastly is another consideration to be made about the context in which you're operating. So some businesses, like insurance companies, are notoriously run on the very premise of loss aversion. So this means users are buying exactly because they're afraid of losing something. This is really not to shame insurance companies and anyone who works for them. But as designers, it's useful to be aware of these dynamics so that we know how to make more ethical and informed decisions in our work. These are just a few situations where loss aversion can impact our work as conversation designers. Let us know if you can think of any other example, and in the meantime, check out all our other episodes of the series Bias Hacking for Conversation Designers. Bye, or like we like to say, bias for now.